I'm Sam,
I'm Ryan.
and we're Film Positive.
Yes, we are.
We got sick of negative film reviews.
Yes, we did.
So this is our positive review of
Doctor Strange. We saw Doctor Strange about an hour ago. Doctor Strange, if you didn't know, is the
14th.
Should we double check that?
I think it's 14th. What have we got? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Must be the 14th movie.
Wasn't that the 14th one?
No, I can't.
Doctor Strange is the 14th movie from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mass production.
So, first thoughts.
That was great.
It was a very good movie.
I think it really worked. I just enjoyed the whole film. I wanted to have those kind of powers.
We should probably say that some of this will be light spoilers, I feel. The style of the movie is really quite unique. Like, it didn't feel like you were watching a Marvel movie.
No, it was all colourful and the costumes were spectacular and everything like that. But it was unique compared to to some of the other.
Within the Marvel formula, and within the Marvel kind of brand, it felt different.
It will stand out in this phase like Guardians of the Galaxy stood out in the last phase.
I would say it's one of the better films.
And I think it went really quickly. It just disappeared. Some movies drag on.
Pun intended. One thing I noticed when it started, it propelled you right into the issue.
But it also matched the entire feel of the first act of the film, which was in the hospital. The hospital is high energy.
You do get 15-20 minutes of him at the start pre-accident.
We get that he's an incredible neurosurgeon. We get that he is, extraordinarily good at what he does. And it didn't waste time. It didn't give us 1,000 different backstories.
The problem with origin stories tends to be that the first 2/3 of the movie are really great. Like the first 2 acts when you see the hero figuring out the problem and becoming the hero, but then the last act is always really thrown together at the last minute and really quick. That's what I liked about the structure of this film, is it was almost, instead of the first 2 acts kind of sorting out the character and him developing,
more continuous.
It
wasn't discrete sections.
Exactly. It didn't feel like action scene, stop for dialogue, action scene, stop for... It felt like a continuous propulsion through the story, in the same way that something like Guardians of the Galaxy, it's got that continuous forward motion.
Inertia driven, it's pushing, the characters push the story.
That cat-mouse story again. The antagonist is the first thing that's introduced. There's constantly that threat that's chasing the characters.
We are learning with Doctor Strange, what the magic does, what his different weapons are that he can use, what his different tools are,
And he's your portal into this world.
It's quite interesting that way.
The classic protagonist. He's the one that you have to latch onto in order to get through the story, because you're in a world full of magic and you're in a world full of all these weird topsy-turvy things going on, and it's you need that character to relate to. It existed pretty well by itself.
I think that Doctor Strange, the tie-ins were seeing the Avengers Tower in the background. There were
little things that
mentions of the Avengers defending the world from physical threats, whilst these people dealt with the more magical threats. I mean, but it's small tie-ins.
It wasn't overbearing. It wasn't in your face, that was what was really good about it.
Yeah, quite light on the Easter eggs for the rest of the universe.
It takes a lot of the kind of story threads and familiar things that we've come to associate with the way that the Marvel movies are put together and their formula and their way of doing it, which is a winning formula. It's putting people in seats, it's selling tickets, and they're making decent films, and they're doing a good job. They cracked it back in 2008, but they have improved upon that each time.
On a bit of a different topic, and this is what everyone's going to come out talking about, were the visual effects.
We've seen magic before in Harry Potter, we've seen time travel before in tons of movies, but the way...
Interstellar.
The way that the time travel is done and the way that the spells are cast and the magic's used is it's unique and it's different, and we haven't seen it done like that before.
No. When Doctor Strange is performing magic, or any of the other characters are performing magic, you're not sure what's going to happen. There's just like Doctor Strange isn't sure of his learning as you're going through. It's a really good use of the effects. The way they did it reflected really beautifully the 60s and 70s comics that Doctor Strange has come straight out of.
Yeah.
You know, and it's incredible things that could have only been drawn up, and now they can be brought to the screen. I think
the psychedelic kind
yeah.
of. That reminded me of Escher paintings, like the artist who does a lot of those optical illusion things, like the Penrose steps.
There are other things.
Little nods to 2001.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
And there was also lots of neat visual stuff, like he starts off in his tunic, he picks up the
Cloak.
gem thing.
Oh, the Eye of Agamotto.
Yep, that's it. He gets our favourite cape.
Cloak.
Yep, cloak. And so his costume is developing as the character is throughout the film until the end, when he is the Doctor Strange now that we know. So much of this movie is shot like with candid framing, which makes it feel like a comic. You shoot on a slight angle.
Just take your hands down. Candid framing is this.
You could feel his visual style as a filmmaker coming through.
What else was great?
Our favourite new character, which is a character. It's not just an object.
Yeah,
is
it's
Doctor Strange's cave.
It's
the scene stealer.
The cloak of levitation.
That's the one, levitation.
And it's sentient in this whole thing. It's not an object. It's
a character.
It's a character. It's got a personality. It's interesting and it's different.
Do we feel like maybe the cloak of levitation is like the almost like the Groot of this film, or the BB-8? It's like the cute kind of sidekick.
Yeah,
that,
and if he's not there, you're not sure what's going on.
And I just wanted to see more of the cape.
My favourite scene would have to have been when he was sleeping in his physical form and studying in his astral form, because even when he was asleep, he was still like studying. And this is what something that Stephen Strange, pre-accident, would have done.
Because there is that comment like where he says in the movie where he's like, how do I get to be like that? And then the Ancient One is like, she's like, well, how did you get to be like one of the best doctors in the world? And he's like, well, studying and practice.
The Ancient One's character was brilliantly done. She provided that mentoring role, but also, brought it back down. This movie could have been so in the air and so ambiguous, and
really, like hippie love.
Yeah, it could definitely been that.
There's a really nice moment between Tilda Swinton and Benedict Cumberbatch. I can't say it. Anyway, there's a lovely moment between the Ancient One and Stephen Strange. They're in their astral form, and there's this really nice conversation, which I guess a lot of people can relate to, is like the fear of failing and where he'd gotten to where he'd gotten to in his life by never wanting to fail and that not being an option. And I thought that was really the conversation between the two carried a lot of resonance to how that is then embodied and like sort of manifested in her character. Yeah. Summing up, I think that there is a lot of Marvel movies. This is the 14th, as we so elegantly figured out earlier. They've done a lot of good stuff. I can't see people feeling very fatigued by this movie. It does the origin movie in a unique visual style, which does things you've seen before in a new, fresh way, but it also sort of perfects the way that they're using this formula, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with the movie.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute blast, and I love Benedict Cumberbatch. I think he's just sublime. Yeah, I think it was great, and I think it'll be the standout of this phase.
Thank you for watching. Stay positive.